In exactly 20 hours, the Denver Broncos are going to punch their ticket to the AFC Championship game, and nobody outside of this building sees it coming. While the national media is busy crowning the Buffalo Bills, they are completely ignoring 10 massive, sneaky advantages that guarantee a Denver victory. I have the undeniable facts, the hidden stats, and the insider intel that prove we aren't just competing in this game, we are about to dominate it. If you are riding with the Broncos, do me a huge favor and smash that like button, share this with a friend, and subscribe right now so we can keep proving the doubters wrong together. You have to ask yourself, why is everyone so convinced that Buffalo is the superior team when the actual evidence points the exact opposite way? The narrative out there is lazy, but we are going to dig deeper. There are critical factors in this matchup that are slipping under the radar, and frankly, some of them are things I was genuinely paranoid about earlier in the week. But now that we have the answers, confidence is through the roof. Let's talk about the biggest spy advantage we have in our back pocket. Remember when we signed Elijah Moore? This is a guy who has deep ties to our roster, growing up with our players and being close with Courtland Sutton. I honestly thought Moore was going to be a massive difference maker on the field for us this season. But here is the crazy part. Because of the injury to Patrick Bryant not being as severe as we feared, we haven't even had to activate Moore. He has been sitting in the wings. But remember, Elijah Moore spent the bulk of his career and a huge chunk of this very season playing for the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to be honest with you guys, I was terrified when Buffalo's receiving corps started getting decimated by injuries. I thought for sure they were going to try and snatch him back, not just for his talent, but to drain him of every ounce of intel he had on our offense. But that nightmare scenario didn't happen. Instead, we got the absolute best-case scenario. Sean Payton has spent the last 13 days sitting down with Elijah Moore and picking his brain apart. He has been asking everything. How does the Buffalo receiver room communicate? How does Josh Allen operate when things break down? What does he hate seeing from a defense? Moore confirmed in an interview that he was pulled into meetings and told the coaches everything he knew. He gave them the entire playbook. That is a staggering strategic advantage that you simply cannot buy, and it is firmly on our sideline. But that intel is just the tip of the iceberg. When you stack up the evidence, it becomes a landslide. We need to look at the physical reality of what Buffalo is dealing with right now. They are coming into our house on a short week. They have had 5 measly days between games. They had to take 2 4-hour flights, one coming back from Jacksonville and now flying all the way out here to the altitude in Denver. And they are doing all of this while dragging an injury report that is longer than a CVS receipt. It is absolutely out of control. Now, I know what the critics are screaming at their televisions right now. They are pointing to that 31-7 loss the last time we played them. But if you are a real fan who actually watches the games, you know that score is a total lie. You have to remember the context. Just before halftime, it wasn't a blowout. Will Lutz missed a field goal that he makes 99 times out of 100. If that kick goes through, we are walking into the locker room tied at 10-10. The media wants you to remember a blowout, but the reality was a dogfight. And let's talk about Bo Nix in that game. We broke down the film, and a full 25% of his passes were literally dropped by receivers. A huge chunk of those were critical third down conversions where the guy was already past the sticks. Do you really think the Broncos are going to have a case of the dropsies, again playing at home, in the playoffs, in front of the loudest crowd in the NFL? Absolutely not. That was a fluke, and it's not happening twice. On the other side of the ball, look at who Buffalo is missing. Micah Hyde, their former All-Pro safety, is retired and gone. Von Miller, who went on to rack up 8 sacks with the Commanders this year, isn't walking through that door to save them. When I rewatched the tape of our last game, Von Miller was a game-wrecker for them. He is not there anymore. They also lost key defensive linemen who are now playing elsewhere. If you look at their projected depth chart from before training camp, none of those starting safeties are even on the team right now. They are relying on second and third string guys to execute a Sean McDermott defense that requires elite communication and chemistry. That complex system relies on smarts and experience, and right now, they are trying to hold it together with duct tape. And please, don't let anyone talk to you about common opponents. I know beating the Houston Texans isn't the Super Bowl, but look at how we did it versus how Buffalo did it. The Bills beat a Texans team that was playing Davis Webb, a backup, the entire game because C.J. Stroud was out. And Josh Allen was still under pressure the whole time. When we played Houston, we faced their actual starting quarterback for the bulk of the game until he got hurt right before the half. They struggled against a backup for 4 quarters, we dominated a starter. They lost to the Eagles at home. We flew to Philadelphia on a short week, played a Monday night game, traveled across the country, and beat the Eagles in their own stadium. This team is battle-tested in ways Buffalo simply isn't. We have the mental toughness. We flew from Philly to London to beat the Jaguars, then stayed on the road to beat the Giants without a bye week. It's not just about the schedule, it's about the caliber of the roster. We have the most players heading to the Pro Bowl. We have the most first-team All-Pros. That means anonymous NFL writers and experts looked at the film and decided we have the best players at 6 different positions. We have the talent, we have the grit, and we have the momentum. Here is the question of the day. I want you guys to answer in the comments below, and I want you to be honest. If you take the names off the jerseys and just look at the last 10 weeks of football, who would you actually rather have leading your team, Josh Allen or Bo Nix? I think the answer is going to shock a lot of people, so let me know what you think down there. Because this is where the national narrative really falls apart, the quarterback comparison. Everyone acts like this is Superman Josh Allen versus some rookie. They want you to believe the gap between Allen and Bo Nix is the Grand Canyon. But I have the data from unbiased third-party analytics firms that says otherwise. There is a company that uses advanced algorithms to rank the most valuable player in the entire league. And guess who they have at number 1? It's not Josh Allen. It's not Patrick Mahomes. It is Bo Chapman Nix. Why? Because the algorithm values avoiding sacks and processing speed above all else. And who is the best in the NFL at avoiding negative plays? It's Bo Nix and Matthew Stafford. People will push back because it doesn't fit the hero ball narrative, but you wouldn't argue if the stats said Stafford or Goff were playing at an MVP level. Bo Nix is playing elite, efficient winning football. Let me give you a blind comparison that was circulating on social media recently because it perfectly illustrates this point. Quarterback A has almost 4,000 passing yards, 25 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. Quarterback B has fewer yards, the same amount of touchdowns, and 1 less interception. Most people, just looking at the stats, would take quarterback A because of the extra 300 yards. Well, quarterback A is Bo Nix. Quarterback B is Josh Allen. Even Buffalo fans are starting to concede that, outside of the quarterback, running back, and tight end, Denver has the better roster at literally every single position. And yet, they are banking on this idea that the gap between Nix and Allen is so massive that it overcomes Buffalo's injuries, the travel, and the altitude. That is absolutely absurd. Let's look at the matchup on the ground. Yes, Buffalo has a statistically better offense overall, but that is heavily skewed by their rushing attack. When you look at the passing game, the Denver Broncos actually have the 11th ranked passing offense, while Buffalo sits at 15th. Why is their total offense ranked higher? Because they have the number 1 rushing attack in football. But here is the checkmate: the Denver Broncos have the 2nd best rushing defense in the league. It is strength versus strength, and I am taking our defense at home every single time. You also have to factor in the environment. We aren't playing in a silent stadium. Our defense plays infinitely better at home because the opposing offensive line cannot hear the snap count. The crowd noise forces them to move a split second slower, which allows our pass rush to tee off. In that last game against Buffalo, their run game got going in the second half because our defense was tired from 3-and-outs caused by drops. That isn't happening here. Bo Nix isn't playing with a broken back this time. The conditions are completely different. Sean Payton was asked yesterday about Bo Nix and what makes him special, and he said something that should terrify the Bills. He called him a super processor. He said he is so glad Bo is ours. And we should be too. He locked us into the 1 seed despite all the dead cap money and despite every clown on social media saying we wouldn't even make the playoffs. The Bills are walking into a trap. I listened to their insiders, and their entire game plan revolves on trying to trick Bo Nix with disguised coverages. They think he doesn't have the football IQ to handle it. They are going to show a blitz with 8 guys and drop 4, or show 4 and bring 8. But here is the flaw in that logic: Bo Nix's superpower is that he is a robot. He is brilliant. Nobody watches more film than this kid. That is exactly why Sean Payton fell in love with him. National analysts are posting clips proving that Nix doesn't struggle with disguised looks. He is the lowest-ranked quarterback in the league when it comes to throwing to his first read. Do you know what that means? It means he isn't staring guys down. He is scanning the field, processing the coverage, and finding the open man. He doesn't panic. So if Buffalo's whole plan is, let's confuse the rookie, they are going to find out real quick that this kid is not a rookie upstairs. It honestly feels like nobody outside of Denver has watched a single snap of Broncos football this year. We are considered flyover country to the media, and they are sleeping on a juggernaut. We are a better team at almost every position. The gap at quarterback is non-existent right now. I have absolutely no plan B for tomorrow. I am planning on coming right back here immediately after the final whistle to celebrate with all of you because the Broncos are going to the AFC Championship. We have been calling this since July, and we aren't stopping now. I'm leaving nothing to doubt, because the ball don't lie.